Welcome. Oh, wait. Yes. Unlock philosophy with the key philosophy reading by Hellmut Monz. Yes, indeed, the most misleading philosopher. How to read On Reality by Parmenides of Elea with Hellmut Monz, the key philosophy reading, episode number 2. Contents. We go through the welcome, small welcome. We go through reading rules. We talk about Parmenides. Why does Parmenides deserve his spot in the key philosophy reading list? Talk about this. Translation key. Parmenides did not write in English. How dare we speak about Parmenides in English? Also, we do some work. Reading, fun part. Yeah, we read a translation of Parmenides. Oops, sorry. And then we say goodbye. Welcome. Can we do something? Yes. Welcome to the key philosophy reading, dear friend of philosophy. I am Hellmut Monz, the doctor of philosophy with the mission of freeing philosophy. If you have ever struggled with reading philosophical texts, boo, 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 it can be so hard sometimes, very often, actually always hard, then think along to learn how to unlock the key works of philosophy. Before we start reading, let's cover the reading rules. It's about reading out loud the words I'm seeing. Sometimes I read out loud the words I'm thinking. Sometimes I write down the words I'm thinking. So it's reading out loud the words we see, we think. When seeing, hearing, and writing comes together, we have a good reading. And with a good reading, understanding opens up. This is the point here. Parmenides, why are we proper? Yes, Parmenides. Why are we wasting our precious life reading Parmenides? We should. We're reading On Reality by Parmenides like the ancients, the proper ones did. They spend their life writing only one book. Today we don't understand this. Today it's one book after another. That's waste, right? Paper, another paper, for the sake of writing another paper. But they are just try to nail one short, quick book. Nice. And usually the assignment is this: write on reality, and that's literally the name of the work. We're gonna write on reality. We don't want to get misdirected and deceived. We're gonna try to see how we can nail reality. This is the reason why the title of Heraclitus and Parmenides is the same, because that's the assignment. You have been given, as a philosopher, you have one assignment, you're going to nail reality. So this is what you dedicate you one good work on. He is from Elea. Elea is today's Novi Velia, that's south of Italy, so Italian by modern means. Parmenides is very often contrasted with Heraclitus. They lived around the same time, 500 BC, on different opposing corners of ancient Greece, and seemingly also from the content and the form of their work, extremely different, juxtaposed, the antithesis, the anti-heroes of each other's, like day and night. Heraclitus was called the Dark. I can't get any darker. He published his work at the Artemision, the temple dedicated to Artemis. Artemis, the goddess of darkness, the goddess of the moon, of the night. And then, by contrast, now Parmenides has to, the job is Parmenides needs to be extremely different. How extremely different? So he was called the son of Apollo. Apollo is the god of the sun. Sun and moon, day and night. The contrast is so sharp and so different. with the titles given to Parmenides, also good to mention is there's an allusion to Hesia, which has changed the kind of reception and how Parmenides has been handled. I want to quote here and point to a work by Peter Kingsley called Reality. Pages around 36 till 40, linked to what we just talked about. So it's really the only work I can recommend for anyone studying Parmenides. Read Peter Kingsley's work, Reality. Some other books also on this similar topic, connected topics. That's really the only books I can recommend if you want to study Parmenides. Yeah, and Parmenides did his work so well, he deserves his spot in the reading list in the key works of philosophy. And with Heraclitus, I'm also as confident with Parmenides that he will never be beaten. He will never be surpassed in philosophy. And this is clear to you once you learn how to read Parmenides. Because he talks about that cannot be beaten, that cannot be out-tricked or taken over. Yeah, it's still the founder of Western philosophy, of philosophy as such, I would say, and thousands of years and whatever weird things that may happen will not kick him off the basis. Translation key. We're gonna talk about Parmenides not in ancient Greek because it's a dead language. I would need to talk ancient Greek from the other side. We talk about it in English, so we need to do some justification of how does it work. How do we? How dare we? And what can we do here? I pick out 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. 8 lines, and when you look a little bit closely on Greek, and they will help us get the confidence that we can say, okay, good, I think we have a good handle on Parmenides, and then we can deal with a more freer translation of his work. When I cite Parmenides, I cite my own work, chapter 6.2, Parmenides on Reality in the Key to Philosophy, pages 468 till 487. I can talk a little bit about how I firstly met Parmenides. It was very early on, when I was in my teenage years, one of the first classes of my philosophy course. We read Parmenides as you have to, as you still do. It's part of every foundation philosophy course. Parmenides in there, cannot be kicked out, needs to stay in there. We read Parmenides, I read him in class, and I stood up and shouted, this is it. This is what I was looking for. This answers every question. Now my philosophy professor says, not so quick, hold your horses. Parmenides was a very early philosopher. He did not yet had access to all the discoveries that we have. He did not know about negative numbers of higher mathematics, what you can do with them. He did not know of the discovery of the unconscious, of depth psychology, and so on and so on. And I was defeated. I was humiliated. I was ashamed for thinking this is it and then not being able to refute or say something in response to my professor because just didn't have the smartness. I have not yet been trained in all those things, so I didn't know how to deal with that. So I sat down and was defeated and humiliated, and I felt being left alone per minute. I thought, there's hope here, and I found it finally, and it was taken away from me, so I felt very ashamed and bad. I felt very bad. And I avoided Parmenides for decades. Many decades, I just didn't touch it. When I came across it, I changed the topic. When I read it, I just skipped the chapter, just tried to avoid it. And only after I was trained by Heraclitus reading, only then did I come back to Parmenides. And I can confirm, and this is really the key. So I can confirm my first impression of Parmenides was correct. So there is a sense that there is some innocence that you need to have for you to understand what Parmenides is about. And no training, no scholarship can replace that. So if you have guilt and judgment and shame with you, no amount of scholarship will be able to get you to that point. So that's the reason why even the most brilliant scholars for thousands of years, they were totally misled Parmenides. We could draw out secondary literature and just complain about how wrong the interpretations of endless number of people is. But what is it good for? Right, so I rather spend time on just focusing of how to do it correctly than all the different ways of how not do it correctly. Yeah, so there's an innocence and a naivety that you need, the purity that need to have in your heart to be able to, that Parmenides opens up for you. There are, in all other cases you only will be misdirected, misled, and you knot your own noose around your neck with your thoughts, the strings and the paths you put together. You make a noose around your neck. There's a ruse as such. Yeah, so that means for our translation key, what we need to be very careful of, and that's what I want to pay attention to, is that we need to ask. There's a lot of talk about ways and paths, and we need to ask, what way? We have to be very careful about where we step, because when we go road the wrong path, when we are on a path and the fork opens up and we have an intersection where you go left and right or up and down or forward or backward, the wrong decision leading down to the wrong path, it can turn out very badly. And we do not want to walk down the wrong path, and we don't want to step on something that bites us. You see? So we need to be very careful where you plant our foot. And when we have a good footing, then we have the confidence of dealing with a more freer translation. That's the basis, the base. It's where we place our foot, our standing. Because if we don't have a stable standing, we will not have a good understanding, and so on. So epistemological, it's very important, that note. So we focus on this with the translation key. Yeah, and this is how it opens up. Do we do an intermission? Yes, we do an intermission. The Key, Philosophy Reading by Hellmut Monz. Yeah, this is how Parmenides shows up in front of you. The format is it's popular format. It's, to that time Parmenides was alive, and it was so popular that it made itself a little bit still known in our pop culture. So he has a lot of references that are still awake and that still live on in our times. So the popular format was Homeric hexameter. There's a form of poetry. So when poets, pop singers, pop speakers were reciting poetry, this was one of the main means of entertainment to that time. And he simulates that. He simulates writers as Homer and Hesiod. They were not writers. They were speakers. They were performers of that. And he emulates that form. And he borrows words and images and alludes to those imaginary world that the ancient Greek poets painted for us, and that we still have. They are still with us in maybe with less strength, but they're still with us. And that's how he made sure he himself stays relevant and popular, because he emulated the most popular format. So it's very smart how he did it. So that the form itself has to be respected, and he does a very good job in that. So now this is how it shows itself. Is it shows itself as a journey, and a journey is an odyssey. It's an odyssey, alluding to the work of Homer, where we have Odysseus. Odysseus is the name of the traveler, of the journeyer, where he very famously he needs to find a way home. It's a wayfinder. And in Odyssey and Odysseus, we have Hodos in there, and that means the way and the path. And this word is being, or the road, and this is being recited in the work of Parmenides. So it's a lot about paths, and this is the main characteristic of Odysseus. He has one job: he needs to find his way back home, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. So he is equipped famously with a lot of tricks. He's very smart and very trick rich. He's the great grandson of Hermes. Hermes is the god of travelers, makes sense, right? But he's also the god of tricksters, of thieves, who by whatever means necessary try to reach the goal. And Odysseus is being confronted. Odysseus has the craziest obstacles in his way, supernatural obstacles. And he really needs to have access to any trick whatsoever to get through. And he even goes to the underworld. And Hermes even need to come and help him a lot. So this is the characteristics of Odysseus. He tries to find his way, he tries to be very smart, but whatever trickery necessary. So this is the imaginary that loads up and that we are confronted. We see journeying paths and trying to find our path. So this is the poetry that we're confronted here with. So we have a journey, and the means of transportation of the journey, we have a chariot that's being talked about, steered by girls, some maidens that we now not reveal who they are. Some maidens are steering the chariot. Horses are pulling the chariot, and there's a traveler on that chariot. This is the story, and this traveler tells their story. So this is in first person. This was the journey here. So it starts up the hippos. Hippo is a horse. So the horses that ferry me, that carried me as far and even further as my heart, his thumos, his spirit, his desire, his passion, his passion would reach, got on, once they have stepped me and led me onto the famous way of a divinity. So it's very interesting here. So he's on a way. So let's find the way. So first thing is those line 4. Those hippoi, they are polyphrastoi. Very smart characteristics that is linked to Odysseus. When Odysseus is being portrayed and named, he's the very smart one. And horses, right? When we think about very smart horse that is being used for tricks and trying to get somewhere, what is our pop culture telling us? The Trojan horse. See, so we're signaling here, the signal is his trickery. The path, hodon. What's the adjective that is giving to that? Is polyphémon. Polyphémon literally polus, many, much, very, very. And then pheme is to speak, to say, to fable, to be famous. It's very famous, polyphamous, very famous way. So the issue is a very famous way. What's the most very famous way, road, journey? The Odyssey. Now, if you have read the Odyssey a little bit, be careful. You will know the word polyphémon because it connects to, it is a form of Polyphemus, and Polyphemus was the very Cyclops that got also terribly tricked by Odysseus. So see, so Parmenides is reinforcing here, signaling about triggering, finding new waves, and there's tricks going on. So let's read on. Okay, so he has been ferried by horses, pulled by horses. even further than he would desire. Okay, so overstepping his wildest desires, and he was step based on and led onto the very famous, polyphamous way, hodos, of what? Of who? Of daemon. So the daemon is, so a demon, in today, a demon is a bad, evil spirit. Thousands of years ago, when our relationship to the gods was a little bit better, a daemon was a good, a positive. It was just a divinity, a protective spirit. That maybe that reflects on us, and that we need to have a better relationship with the divine, of how we understand the words and how we name the divine. So there's a very famous path of a divinity. And she is who? She was a female. She is, she, Pharis. So we have a lot of repetition of the word pharaoh, Pharis. Carries, gets, traverse, transfers, furring, transfers. So there's transference, a transfer going on. And she Pharis, who Idota Phota. This is Phota alludes is here a man or someone. Let's call him someone. Idota, someone who knows, and the word where it comes from. So oida, to know, and eidon means to see. So here we have the allusions to that seeing and knowing. So when I say, you say something, I say, I see. What do I mean to say? I mean, understand. So seeing here is with knowing. So here's someone who's in the know, who's someone who's insightful or seeing. And he's ferried, kata panto aidan. So kata is down through. And this is why it has often been said that Parmenides talks about a kata basis, a downstepping. It's a journey down. Where do you go down? To hell. Panta, it ferries down through all, panta, all, aden. So you can say aden is very often just understood as the invisible. That is not visible. If we say that this is composed of, we have here alpha, privativium prefix, negates, and then we have a verb that comes from Dao, to teach, and this is a negation. So who ferries through all the untaught, it means the dim. If you untaught, you kind of stupid, right? And this is the association with the lack of insight, insightlessness. So we have then association with someone who knows, who sees. Someone is illuminated through all the unilluminated. Someone who is lit through all the unlit. But the problem here, and it confirms the claim that this is a katabasis and this goes down to hell, is that Hadan has a great allusion to Hades. Hades is the name, the realm of the underworld. Or sometimes it's the god of the underworld, Hades. And it's also, some etymology suggests that Hades, the underworld, is the realm of the unseen. So it's invisible. The realm of the dead is invisible to the realm of the living. So this is extremely unsettling. So we have a lot of links as allusions to trickery, to the Great Odyssey, and with Odysseus, he also stepped down into hell. Odysseus made a journey to hell to get home. So this is what we are linked here into from the mythology. Okay, so this sets it up, so we see a little bit of context here. And we get confirmed. So the journey is, let's say it is a journey down, kata is down, so we go through into the sky. We maybe fly down on those chariot down through, and we are brought to a threshold, a door, which has a lot of characteristics to the big gate to the Tartarus, the gate down to hell. And there's a bouncer guards this door in Parmenides' story, and that is none other than Dike, the goddess of justice. Now we have here another allusion: is how do those girls, those maidens that pull the chariot, like how do they get past the goddess of justice? Like how are you gonna get past her? Who holds? She has the keys for the door, and here it is said that 15. They get through the door through Malakoisi Logoisin. Logoisin, logo is the plural of logos. The plural of word is words. Malakois is smooth. Very smooth words. To paisan, peto, to persuade. So they get past the goddess of justice through persuasion using smooth words. This is illusion trickery. How get you past the bouncer who has the keys and you just smooch them with nice smooth words? And yeah, there's also the evocation is also with Odysseus here, because there was Calypso. Can we say witch? How did Calypso was able to trap Odysseus and get Odysseus to stay with her, although Odysseus wanted to get home? Why did Odysseus not leave her? Calypso used the same thing here. Malakoisi Logoisin. Where is it? I don't know what the reference is. You look it up where Calypso is. This is literally what Homer tells us. Okay, so the same technique. So that makes me think that those girls, those maidens, there are some witching. There's some bewitching going on. They have the power to do Malakoisin Logoisin. And this also, but then how finally does Odysseus get away from Calypso? Hermes has to come. Zeus sends, someone sends Hermes needs to get Odysseus away from Calypso through talking. Hermes is also the one who goes to Hades, the god of death, to be able to persuade him to release Persephone. How? Malakoisi. Okay, smooth words. So it's the characteristics of deceivers and tricksters, of bewitching witches and magicians, to be very smooth with words and to trick their way, and to be hypnotic, narcotic words. See, so that means what is being here confirmed. Let's take a note here. There is a lot of triggering going on. A lot of trickeries, allusions to stories, and it's just happening in front of us. So this is all in the setup of the story, where we try to get anywhere. So then, they get past the door with a trick, and then they meet the goddess. They meet the demon, the divinity of this very famous, polyphamous path. And then the goddess starts talking. And what the goddess shares with us is crazy. It's the foundation of philosophy as such. It's the foundation of logic, because she uses logic, the logos, literally the logos, logic itself, to say something that is so crazy, it just clashes with everything we think about reality, which is her monologue. Her monologue is about the ability to tell the reality apart from unreality, from deception, truth from deception. What is true and what is not a trick. So this is the very core of it. So this is why we need to focus on this tricking stuff. Yeah, and so I think 2 more moments and then we go into the reading. Was it 1, 2? So this is now the goddess talking about where they are. Donde Hodos, this path. What is this polyphemus path? Way. Who wrote thereon? And here is specified, she says, it is for it is said that it is a way outside of the stepping of the humans. It is ectos, ex, out. Apo, away. It is out, away of the patu, the the ground, the floor, the treading of the anthropoi of the humans. This is away from all the ways that humans can go, that humans can touch with their feet. This is extremely. So we can say, oh, but this is an inner journey. It's a journey. It's a psychedelic journey. This is a whatever journey. No. This is not a journey you can get on as a human. Okay. Not a path. And yeah, we signal this. Here's 7.5. Where is it? Logo. Form of logos. So it's divinity. The divinity delivers a logos. It's her logos, her word that goes into that. And this is also how Parmenides and Heraclitus connect. Both are talking about the logos. Heraclitus talks about a logos that is not him, that's eternal, has nothing to do with Heraclitus. It's not his logos. And Parmenides shares a logos. This is not his logos. Like, he's not talking here. He recites what the goddess says. It's the divine logos speaking. And then we have an unsettling confirmation towards the end. So the journey, you are met with the goddess and her logos, the divine logos, nailing it beautifully. You're unable to fix it or negotiate or whatever with nailing. And she says, now if you understand, if you really listen to my words and think critically and make the right conclusions, and then she promises so that no way, not ever, 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 no one of the mortals will overtake you in knowing. So this, I have not seen this. I only resaw that because it was pointed out to me, and I link here to the work of Kingsley in his book Reality. He makes a big deal of that because it clicks back to what we are arguing about. This is an odyssey, and it talks about trickery, because here when she says, so yeah, you understand what this is, so that no way, no one, a double negation, ou me potetis, ou tis me tis. If you combine those particles together, you get utis. Utis means no one. So no one will ever be able to overtake you. No one will ever be able to out-trick you. Again, we think about Odysseus, no one. What do you think about no one? Remember the Cyclops we mentioned? This was how part of the trick that Odysseus played on Polyphemus, where his brothers showed him, oh, yeah, look, who blinded you? And he says no one, because Odysseus told him that his name is no one. No one. Utis. And then you can, in Homer, the joke goes, aha, the metis of Utis is so amazing, so smart. The metis, the cunning deception of Odysseus, the chosen. And we have it here. We have here very deceived with great wordplay, Utis metis, which is here a signal, a confirmation that yes, the signal is, hey, be very careful about those paths and the tricks that are being played. So it's training you. Okay. And once you understand those tricks, it will show you to you why it is that Parmenides, like Heraclitus, cannot be out-tricked, cannot be overtaken. Because they are not playing by the rules. They are not going in paths because they are not thinking in paths. Yeah, maybe let's do that. Do we have another one? Yeah. So let's take some notes. A lot of trickery about pathfinding. And somehow a confidence about being unable to be overtaken or out tricked. So where do I get the confidence that no one will ever be able to to overtake me? What path? What of those options? What path can I choose to make sure no one ever will be able to find a shorter path? And the answer to that is because if you follow and really listen to what she talks about, that there is no path. That all of those paths are tricks. All paths, and this is the translation key. All paths, roads, ways, tricks. And then the whole thing makes sense. Okay, reading. Intermission? Yes. The Key. Philosophy Reading by Hellmut Monz. Yes, reading begins. So this is chapter 6.3, the Revival of Stellar Parmenides. A very freely translation of Parmenides, alluding to cultural probes that are connected to popular culture of our times. It's from the Key to Philosophy book and pages 488 to 492. So, and the engines shot me beyond my heart's desire. On fire, they flew me onto the infamous flight path of the astro portal, which lights up for the burning astronaut across the invisible realm of deep space. There, here, there, then, now, I was traveling, holding on to my shivering seat, letting go of my beliefs about what is possible. There, here, there, then, now, the engines were rattling, the spacecraft and two gynoid pilots were controlling the cockpit, steering the way into the Stargate. A white flash with a loud crash, the extreme stress of the counter-moving currents broke a pipe in the engine room with a big kaboom, releasing a sharp hissing, causing the sirens to flash up with a code red. Running out of time, the pilots of the Starfleet, escaping the Dark Empire, kept pushing the engines for more speed, on the course to break through the legendary light barrier. Incoming transmission, abort mission. The Empire Star Judge, a battle cruiser of the Tartarus class, was on a collision course, dictating a return to the stolen spacecraft to Prison Planet. The counter-moving signal hijacked the cockpit controls, locking us out from getting away System override. The pilots broke the wheel of the unit, spinned a disk, and entered a login code, brokering root access. No, the game was not over just yet. Alarm. The judge. Alarm. The star judge locked on and fired its amoebic missiles, trying to blast our vessel into nothingness. All hands on the throttle. The pilots squeeze the engines to break through the boundary we are forbidden to cross. The rattling grew into a roaring, sharp enough to pierce through each and every skull. And time slowed down. Going beyond the speed of light violates the wildest dreams of interstellar space travel. Only few lucky ones have survived to tell the unbelievable tale of what lies beyond. When death is the only alternative, even the craziest pursuit becomes an attractive option. Snap! All invisible light was pushed aside. An invisible opening had consumed my view, devouring the entire cosmos. I knew it. This was the hidden threshold standing between the known and the unknown, the limit between the observable and unobservable, the horizon between this universe and all the others. The astral portal dissolved the visible into the invisible, matter into energy, and energy into dark consciousness. The invisible light was antimatter, anti-energy, yet the astral portal was a living and intelligent being. And the astral portal welcomed me kindly, absorbing me into her and her into me. So she transmitted to me. O astral astronaut, together with all heroic captains and undying engines, welcome. No bad deeds have sent you here, where nobody can go, but law and justice have. You were awakened to both the unshaking heart of the persuasive truth and to the limited beliefs of mortal bodies that are without true persuasion. Because even these you must learn, how beliefs must be believable, that all can pass as all. But when I speak, you must hear what universe of science is exclusively thinkable. The one universe of what is, where that which is not does not exist, is the universe of persuasive truth. But the other universe of what is not, where that which is not does exist, is a dream universe. As no more could you know what is not, because it does not exist, nor could you even think it. Being and thinking are one and the same. See clearly that both what is away and what is here are equally what is here in the mind. You cannot just separate being from being in order to have non-being. Whether you break anything apart or bring anything together, for me, here it is all one. The start is where I end. So it is only sayable and thinkable that being is, because being is. But non-being is not. Mind is. Firstly, I shoot you away from the universe that is not. Then I will shoo you away from the universe that both is and is not. That is where those two-eyed, split-brained mortals hallucinate the existence of everything and nothing. Their minds are helplessly wandering, going in circles without noticing it. They sleepwalk through nowhere, sleep-talking nonsense. Willed about, they are indecisive about what is right and what is wrong, what is real and what is unreal, what is true and what is false. All real being just cannot turn into non-being. So stay away from that universe of pseudoscience, and do not let habits impair your judgment through unskeptical beliefs and senseless noise. Decide according to the sound evidence that I present. Thus, only the universe of science, which is, remains. For this one, there is much good proof, just as the universe that is just is. It therefore was not born, is undestroyable, whole, singular, unquivering, and perfect. Real being never was and will never be, because it is now here one sound. What birth could the universe of what is have had? How, from where could real being have grown? Being came from non-being? I cannot allow you to say or think such nonsense, because non-being is neither sayable nor thinkable. Silence? No one ever has heard of it. And what could have caused real being? What could have created existence sooner or later so as to grow it from non existence? What could have brought forth reality from something other than reality? Unreality? Are you kidding? Thus, either everything is really one being or else it is nothing at all. Real evidence will never allow anything to be born out of nothing. There is no example of creation out of nothing. Reality cannot be created from the unreal. You escaped judgment's incarceration only by realizing that it cannot be destroyed because it has never been created. So the decision is in this: is or is not. And so it was decided. Let go of the unnameable and unthinkable universe of what is not, because it is not true. The true universe is the one that is. But how could such a decision have been made? How could that which is have come into being? How could it have been born? If being was born, then there was a time when being was not. If there was a time when being was not, how could it ever even have been intended to start being? So birth is just nonsense, and death is a dream. The universe of that which is unmoving, startless, endless, limitless, infinite, with birth and death exiled away by the trustful truth pushed far into delusion. It is self-same, equal, harmonious, restful, peaceful, static, staying the same, standing still, perfect, complete, whole. And all the delirious rest is drifting far away outside, beyond, separated by a non-existing chasm. It is every name that mortals call anything, believing it to be true. What is born, dies, is created, is destroyed, arises, passes, comes, goes, is not, was, will be, changes into this, changes into that, and so on. Yet, due to the infinite perfection, it is like an a-dimensional point, where center and periphery are one and the same, for neither more or less can it be here or there, because non-being is not, nothing is missing. It is complete, whole, unlimited, boundless, equal, harmonious, lovely. A perfect symphony. Now, I will stop my story about the truth Now you shall learn the mortal beliefs from listening to my deceptive cosmetics. The knowledge of mortals is split into two sides, with one of them being a hoax. One side is light, friendly, good, high spirit. The other is dark, heavy, dense, low matter. But matter is energy. Energy is consciousness. Consciousness is being, and being is it. To you, I whistle blow this cosmic con, so that in no universe, no one of the mortals will ever outcon you in knowing. And snap, I materialized onto a plane, the home planet, with a new kind of plant. It is a plan born out of the stellar science of the true truth. For this is my story, and my story is yours. The Key Philosophy Reading by Hellmut Monz. Goodbye, we made it. Yeah, congratulations of having worked through that. Parmenides is a key holder of philosophy. He makes it into the reading list of philosophy. I took the liberty to make a more modern twist on his writing. The takeaway is here. Should we do a takeaway? Do we have notes here? No. No, go back here. Yes, I totally canceled out all paths from Parmenides. And I replace the paths with the universe. And it's the universe that is. So being, he talks about being, talking about being means literally ontology. Onta, beings, being. Logi, the study, the logos of being. People make it very complicated, and they have looked at Parmenides. It's very complicated. Now, being is very simple. If you look at what the universe is, couldn't be more simpler. It just cancels out all the weird stuff that's tricks. And it's just is. And is just being is just being. And that's it. There's nothing to it. There are no spins, no directions. There are no sides. There are no directions. There's no lower. There's no before, no after. There are no changes. It's a static, ecstatic state. The state of the universe is. And that's it. And like period. And we are done. Easy, right? Good. So we conclude here. Bye. For more key philosophy, visit www.keyphilosophy.com and subscribe to the Key Philosophy newsletter.